Hi beginning songwriters, and welcome to a beginner's series in creating an original pop song in Reaper. This tutorial will take you through the steps you need to take in order to create an original pop song in Reaper. The point of this series is to help build your confidence in using digital music technology, and the song I will be creating is a simple pop song. It isn't about creating a number one hit, but rather how to use and experiment with the Reaper tools to create a song. My pop song will use both recorded and mixed live instruments as well as MIDI instruments, and will use drums, bass guitar, electric guitar, keyboard and vocals. You may wish to use more instruments or less, and as I won't be teaching you how to write a song, you will need to have your structure, chord progression, melody and lyrics ready, as well as have a basic idea of the style of song you wish to create. Take some time to jot some ideas down before starting the creative process. It will make selecting your tools easier. Quick note, I'm not endorsed by any products or software that you will see in these videos. If you don't know about Reaper, it is an open source digital audio workstation, or DAW, that you can record live instruments, virtual instruments, edit and mix all of these sounds, and export as an audio track in a variety of file types, such as WAV, MP3 and FLAC. It has a 30-day completely free period, and at the end of the period you are asked to purchase a one-time license for the low cost of $60. Reaper can also be used to add audio to video files, however this guide will not focus on this aspect. Before we enter Reaper, please make sure you have either high quality headphones or monitor speakers. You will also need an audio device and driver. I normally use ASIO for my audio system, and if I'm using live instruments, I use a Presonus Audio Box USB interface as my driver. You can see that here. If I don't have live instruments, only MIDI, then I use ASIO for All as my ASIO driver. ASIO stands for Audio Stream Input Output. What you use here is entirely up to you. You just need a reliable audio interface that works well with your current system and that you feel comfortable using. When I purchased this audio interface, it also came with headphones, a microphone cable and a condenser microphone, as well as the USB cable to connect it to the computer. Excellent value for a small home studio setup. For this video, we will be working with MIDI. However, when you do connect your audio interface, ensure you are connected to the internet so the drivers load correctly. Also ensure your speakers or headphones are connected to the interface, not your computer. This oversight often causes stress among beginners. Okay, let's get started. Okay, when you open Reaper, this is what you will see. Let's explore all of these bars and tabs. On the left, you have the master fader. This controls the main volume of the entire project. Above, you have the start, stop, rewind, fast forward buttons, as well as the record and repeat or loop buttons. Next to this is the timer in bars or time, and the tempo, your time signature, your zoom in and zoom out, buttons, and this is your timeline up here. Over here you have a variety of tools. We won't be using all of them, but as we do use them, I will direct you to what they are. The main ones that you need to know about right now are your metronome, enabled, disabled, and by clicking on it with your right hand click, On the mouse, it will bring up your settings. Also is the magnet. This enables the snap function. Make sure that is enabled. It will ensure that all of your bars will line up when we're entering MIDI. Make sure you have a mouse. It makes things a lot easier. Alright, let's make sure our audio preferences are set up correctly. So head up to your options. Come down to preferences. And here are all of your Reaper preferences. You need to select what audio system you're using. So over on the left, make sure you're clicked on audio and device. Here is where I normally use ASIO. But because of some interaction problems with the screen capture, I am using Waveout. Make sure you've selected your audio system and the device or driver that will be driving it. And click OK. Next on the to-do list is virtual instruments. There are a number available on the internet. All you need to do is do a simple Google search for free VSTs or VSTs free. There are also a number that you can buy in different price brackets. Most often the better quality is the higher price bracket. I'm using completely free VSTs in this project to show you what you can do with the free options. When I originally went searching for VSTs, I ensured that I had a few orchestral string packs, bass guitar, electric guitar, piano and drums, as well as some woodwind and brass instruments as well. The drum kit I will be using is known as MT Power Drum Kit by Manda Music. And the bass guitar that I will use is DSK Bass Z by DSK Music. They are both free downloads that you can find through Google search. The only advice I have when finding and experimenting with virtual instruments is that when you do download these instruments, make sure you have a designated folder set up. I have a folder named VST, in which all of my VSTs that I ever download go into. This makes it easier for Reaper to find the folder and for you to use the instruments within Reaper. Once you have your VSTs, you need to head back into your preferences. So head back into your options and preferences. You need to go to your plugins area. So click on plugins, go to VST. This is where you need to tell Reaper where to find your virtual instruments. So here you can see that I have my VST folder selected. I also have a Native Instruments massive pack that's saved in my program files added as well. Once you've done that, you will need to click rescan, and you will need to exit out of Reaper and then re-enter Reaper in order for this effect to happen. Once you've done that, click OK. Okay, if you know the tempo of your song, you can set that now down here in the BPM area. If you're not sure what tempo your song should be, but you have a general idea, you can actually click using your left mouse click and tap the tempo that you think your song should be. I'm going to set mine at 88 for now. While you're working with the MIDI and doing your initial ideas breakdown, you can change the tempo as many times as you want. Okay, we need to plan out our song and add some markers as reference points for the song. So we need to move this red marker here by clicking on at the end of the first bar. Always leave a bar at the start. Then right click on the arrow and it will bring up a menu. Insert marker and type in the name of this. This will be where my intro starts. The intro will go for 4 bars. No, we'll make it 8. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's where my first verse will start. Verse 1. Now I did already put in some markers, but I'm going to move them because I've just changed my structure with the intro being 8 bars. So everything just needs to now move. And I'll now show you how easy it is to move markers. So the first verse needs to go for 8 bars. At the moment it is only going for 4 bars. So we just need to move this pre-chorus marker 4 bars. So it will now be where the pre-chorus is. And so every marker will need to be moved 4. Just zoom in and out to move the screen so that you can see it. Move that to there. Okay. Move your markers. So it's really, really simple to move your markers. So just sort out the structure of your piece. Okay, time to add some MIDI information on a new track. There are several ways that a new track can be added. You can left click twice over on the side, otherwise known as a double click, to bring up a track. I'll just delete that track to show you another way. Another way to add a track is by going up to your menu, to the track, and inserting a track this way. Because we're going to add a virtual instrument on a new track, it's best to insert virtual instrument on new track. This will then bring up the range of virtual instruments you have available. The drum kit that I will be using, this is the first instrument that I'll be adding, and so the one that I would like to use by heading to your VSTI is MT Power Drum Kit. Select which one you would like to use. If you can't see your VSTs here, make sure that they have been added into your VST preferences by going to Options and Preferences again. Make sure you've entered in where they are in your computer and clicked Scan to ensure that Reaper knows where they are. Okay, once you've done that, click OK. It may take a little while as it's a large program. Okay, here is the drum kit. Click on your drum kit to make sure that sound can be heard. This trial free program only has one drum kit available. Some other programs allow you to select other drum kits, brushes to use on the drum kit, where the microphones are, etc. Once you've done that, click the red X to exit out. Now to add actual notes, you'll need to highlight the section of the entire song. So highlight the entire song by right-clicking and dragging across the screen to the very end. So find your marker. Once you've done that, you can zoom out and make sure you've got it correct. You need to go up to Insert and click on New MIDI Item. Okay, now that you have added your MIDI item, it is time to add notes. So let's bring this cursor back to the start by hitting the W key. Next, you'll need to double click on the MIDI item that you have just created. Up will bring the MIDI Piano Roll. This is where we'll actually get to add the drum kit sounds. Along the left are your piano keys. Each one of these keys has a drum attached. So just play around by hitting the different keys, finding out which drum is attached to which note. This is my kick drum. My snare should be close to it and the cymbal should be up here. If you're unsure and you're not sure which drum kit is associated with which note, in MT Power Drum Kit, you can find out by clicking on the settings, and this will show which drum is attached to which notes. Let's go back into here. Make sure you can hear the drums. If you can't hear the drums, then you have an issue with your driver. Okay. First, zoom in so that you can see each bar's subdivision. The next thing that we will need to do is have a look at the different quantization settings. This will change how the bar is subdivided. Down here you can see that there's a grid marker. At the moment it's set on eighths. That means eighth notes or quavers. You have a variety of different options, and by selecting different things you'll be able to, it will help you enter your notes correctly. Most of my notes will be eighths and fairly straight. If I was doing a swing song, I might select swing and it'll change where the markers are. Triplets, dotted, there may be some triplets that I add and there may be some dotted notes that I add, but for now I'm going to keep it straight. Okay, in verse 1 my rhythm will just be a simple rock beat, 8-beat pattern, in order to show all the other instruments when we're recording to where the backbeat is. So let's start by adding in the kick drums, which will just be on beat 1 and 3. You can then right click and drag your mouse over those, and then use Control-C, copy, and you can copy and paste. You'll have to move the marker to the start of the bar each time, otherwise it'll get out of order. And copy and paste. Copy and paste. You can select more than just one bar as well to make it quicker and easier for you. Okay, bring your cursor back to the start of verse 1 and let's listen to that. Okay, next to add the snare. Snare will be on 2 and 3. By clicking on the keyboard over here, it will actually create a faint line, which will make it easier to input. And one more. Okay, and then I'm going to highlight. Oops. Yep. All right. Let's now listen to that. And I made a mistake here. Okay, so we now have kick drum and snare. Time to add in the hi-hats or cymbals. It's a verse, I don't want it to be too heavy, so I'm just going to put in a light cymbal. I like this one. And if I zoom in, I'm just going to put it on the same as the kick drum and see what that sounds like. Move the cursor back to the start. Nope. It needs double that, so I can actually Oops. Didn't work. You can actually select this by right-clicking and dragging across. Copy, starting the marker here, and it will immediately add in the fill. Now, I'm finding that this kick drum sounds very, very loud. So I can select all of those by clicking on one, holding down the Shift key. And then down the bottom here, you'll see these lines. That's the velocity that they're hit at. Just going to bring them down a little. Okay, that's a lot nicer. Alright, so I'm going to select all of the cymbals and copy that for the whole of the verse. Now that the verse is done, we're going to highlight all of it, right click, select all of it, copy, and then we can add it to the other verse. And paste there. We're halfway through to creating our song. Time to add the pre-chorus and the chorus. Okay, in my pre-chorus, I want it to build to the chorus. It doesn't matter what you add now, it's just experimenting, so I'm just going to add a heavier cymbal. So the bass and snare are going to stay the same. So I might just highlight that and paste. All of this can be changed later, the beauty of working with MIDI. And my cymbals. Just going to do quarters, so I'll just change the grid to snapping for quarters. And do that. Let's listen to it. Okay, and we can highlight all of that and Control C to copy for the whole pre-chorus. All of this is just experimentation. You can come up with drum rolls for the pre-chorus to roll into the chorus. I will add those later, and that's just from playing around and listening to what you're creating. Okay, continue adding the rest of your chorus in. For me, like I said, it is very, very similar to the pre-chorus. In fact, I just have decided to copy and paste the pre-chorus into the chorus at this stage. Once the bass guitar is added, I will play around with the drum kit to have the two interact well with each other. So just continue to copy and paste those sections. And you can actually listen to the chorus back into the verse by hitting your space bar to listen to it back. Okay, the last thing that we need to do before going on to the bass guitar is add in the intro. So move your cursor to the start of the intro. And the intro is going to be quite sparse. So I'll just zoom in. And just popping in all of my crush cymbals on each beat. And then my kick drum. Will be the same. Okay, So I just copied and pasted that, and the snare. Let's just have a listen. We'll just be on beats 2 and 4. Okay, let's have a listen. Excellent. Okay, and that's the end of adding the drums in. Now it's time to move on to the bass guide track. Okay, when adding the bass guitar, we will follow a very similar process to what we did with the drum kit. So head up to track in your options menu and insert virtual instrument on new track. This time we will select a bass guitar. The one that I will use is DSK Bass Z, and click OK. You can choose which bass guitar you use. I think I will just stick with a fingered jazz bass for now. This can be changed later by simply clicking on the effects down here. Just unarm it, we won't be recording with it. Next, left click at the start and highlight across to the end. I'm going to do a little bit longer than the last one. Yep. And then head up to insert and new MIDI item. Click the W button on your keyboard to go back to the start. Okay, to add bass notes, make sure you have your chord progression and your basic outline at the ready, and double click on the MIDI item and it will bring up the piano roll, just like in the drums, except this time you'll have a bass guitar. Okay, zoom in. I will enter my intro first. Actually, no, I'll leave my intro till last and I'll start with my verse. Okay. And just start by entering in your notes with your mouse. Other ways to do this is, if you are a keyboard player, you can attach a MIDI keyboard to your computer and play the notes in and record it that way. Otherwise, you can just enter it in manually. And we need to go lower. And we've got 2 bars of that. And same pattern. This last note. Just this one. And just keep adding this in. Okay, that's my pattern that will be repeated. For the whole verse. Alright, let's listen to our verse back and make sure that we haven't made any mistakes. So this is a good idea if you know your melody to be singing it in your head to make sure everything works. Okay, excellent. I'm happy with that. On to the pre-chorus. You can see why having your chord progression ready definitely saves time. Okay, pre-chorus. And I'm going to change this to semiquavers or 16th notes and zoom in. Two of those, and same thing again, but this time on a B. So I'll paste but bring it up to a B, copy and paste. Okay, let's listen back to our pre-chorus. We might just listen to the last bit of the verse. So already you're hearing that the drums and bass probably need to match up a little bit more. Okay, onto the chorus now. The chorus is going to use quarter notes or crotchets. Okay. There's going to be 4 of those, so copy and paste. And then because they're all crotchets, you can copy and let's just move that to our next note, which will be an A. And then the next note will be an E again. And then the next note will be a D sharp. So this bass guitar will be tuned down a whole tone. And again, this time up to a C sharp, and then D. And then an F sharp, and the last note there is a B. So that will happen twice, so we'll bring it back to the start, zoom out, right click, hover and drag to select all of the chorus notes, Control C if you're on a PC to copy, and move your cursor to the end, and then Control V to paste. Okay, so we now have our chorus. Let's have a listen. And listen to the end of the pre-chorus into the chorus. Okay, and that's the chorus for the bass added. We can now highlight the entire bass and copy and paste it to the other chorus area. And we can do the same for the verse and the pre-chorus as well. And we are almost finished. The bass guide track. The piano solo will just continue the chorus. So we can copy and paste that there. And obviously the chorus twice to the end. Okay. And then the last thing to add is our intro. Okay, the last thing left to add is the intro. I've just finished experimenting with the intro that I wanted to do, and I will show it to you now. So it sounds like this. And then the intro will repeat. And so I will right click and drag to highlight all of the notes, Control C to copy, move the cursor to the start of bar 6 and copy and paste it in. If you're having trouble with writing the notes in and you're having trouble with lengthening and with the subdivision, it's a really simple thing to just lengthen the notes by clicking on the end and dragging it out. And with your subdivision, you just need to experiment with your grid down the bottom here. So if you're having trouble inputting notes smaller, like semiquavers and demi-semiquavers, or 32 notes or 16th notes, just play around with down here. If you're wanting to add triplets in or a swung rhythm into your piece, just play around with the subdivision down here, and that should help you input the notes correctly. And you'll now have the whole piece. So click out of there, hit your W. You can scroll out to make sure, and already I can see that in my drum kit I am missing the chorus, piano solo, etc. So there's been some obviously errors there. So we'll go in and we'll make sure that all of that's copied and pasted for the whole song. And that brings us to the end of video 1, where you have begun to experiment with MIDI and virtual instruments. Reaper is a really great program for experimenting with in a DAW for the first time. Last thing before you exit out of the program, make sure that you have saved your project in your project folder and that everything is named accordingly. Your main tracks, the drum kit and the bass track, will be saved as the virtual instrument name, MT Power Drum Kit and Bass Z. And when you exit the program and then come into it next time, Reaper will automatically open the last project that you have been working on. Okay, see you next time in video 2, where we will look at recording live instruments with the piano and a live bass guitar. See you then.